Hello everyone, and welcome to my craft room. I am Beth Roy, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I'm making a ton of cards, and I decided to make this video to show you how I've quickly stamped these images and then turned them into quick note cards. And I have a couple tips as well. So I have stamped all of these. I do a process, and I love using the Stampin' Up! Note cards. They come in a pack of 20 with 20 envelopes. So they're all ready to go for you. So this is a great simple stamping. And I also have a ton of designer series paper that I needed to use up. So this is a retired paper, but I just grabbed out everything in my color scheme that I had so that I could just go to town and get a ton of cards done at once. So I'm going to show you quickly how I set up my Stamparatus to stamp this. Some of it I did free stamping on. So the little blushing bride flowers I just stamped quickly with my stamp on the block, and I stamped the words, and I stamped the flowers and the leaves. So this is one of my favorite sets, Sweet as a Peach. And you're gonna see I have lots of cards in here. I've stamped these instead of as a peach, I'm using them as a cherry. So these are so cute, and I'm making these as sets of cards for my friends and family members that I want to gift things to, sets of cards to. So right now when I'm filming this, it's Christmas time, but you could also make gift sets for birthdays or Mother's Day or anytime really. So I'm gonna grab my Stamparatus, and I'm gonna show you how I set this up to stamp. So I'll need both of my Stamparatus plates. And I'm out of space here, so I'm gonna do this a little backwards. Well, maybe not. So I'm gonna put one towards the top. I might have to move over just a tad. And I'm gonna put one here to the side. So I know you can't see down here the end of my Stamparatus, but I'm gonna be stamping right here, so it'll be okay. So when I make note cards, I like to cut a little piece that I'm going to layer. And this is 4 1/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. So you can obviously cut any size that you would need, but this is what I'm going to use. And I've also used this size to make regular size cards as well. So this is another card that I stamped, and I used the Stamparatus to make parts of this stamping easier for me and quicker. So you can also use this size on regular size note cards. So pick a size that you like and stamp a bunch of them. I just like making the note cards because they are so quick and they're easy to stamp, and then have a ton of cards on hand for yourself, or if you're doing what I like to do, you can make gifts. So I'm gonna put this right into the corner, and then I'm gonna lay my stamps down where I want it. And for photopolymer, you just wanna be careful that you don't alter this, because sometimes you can change the direction of the stamp. It is a little flexible, and so I want to make sure it just lays down how it naturally would. And you can put it whatever direction you want. Pick it up. And one of the reasons why I do this in the corner is so that I can place my paper back where it was, so that I can make sure I can stamp perfectly in the same spot. So the Stamparatus does come with this foam mat, which you will need for the photopolymer stamps. So for my color scheme for these cards, I used Merlot, Blushing Bride, Basic Gray, and Smoky Slate. So for these flowers, I just stamped the leaves in Smoky Slate. So it's the branch and leaves, and I'm just tapping that on. And then I'm gonna close the hinge. Now you can use the magnets to hold it in place. I noticed the photopolymer stamps are very sticky, so I just pull it off. If you wanted it darker or it didn't stamp perfectly, you just close the door and press down again. And I love this stamp set. It is so pretty. So let's do some flowers. And so the flowers, the 3 flowers are connected. And I'm just gonna lay this on here and line it up where I want it. And then I'm gonna pick it up with the top plate. Now, this is just how I'm setting it up. Once I have this set up, I can stamp it however I want. So I have some flowers stamped in the Mary Merlot and more of them stamped in the Blushing Bride. So I'm just going to ink this up. And it's okay if you get it on your plate here, no worries. It can easily wipe off. I use baby wipes, or you could use a little towel. And then you stamp your flowers. So to finish it off, I did all of these. I like to do all of my stamping in sets. I would pull this out, stamp my next one, and do as many as I want. And I stamped a ton because I have so much paper I wanted to use up, and I really liked this setup, and I love this paper layout. This is cut to 2 inches, and this is 4 3/4 inches because our note card is 3.5 by 5 inches when it's folded. So I love that this paper comes in 6 by 6, and I love that I can cut it down in 2-inch increments and get quite a few pieces for cards. So I like doing this layout right here. And then once I'm done stamping all my panels, I can come in and I use this little stamp for the middle of my flower. That's in Mary Merlot. So I just put it on a block, and I can still stamp right here on my Stamparatus. I don't have to move my paper. So once I stamp all of these, I can come in with the flower middle and add that in the Mary Merlot. So then I wanted some little flowers on there, and I didn't use the Stamparatus, but you certainly could if you just wanted them on there one time. But I just found it easy to just grab my flowers and put them in there. And I tried to get all of them similar. Like I said, if you wanted to use the Stamparatus, you could put that on, pick it up, and then stamp it on all of them, and then change the position and stamp it again. I felt like it was random, and it was okay like that. So after I finished all of these, I'm going to take this plate off. I moved my stamp. I cleaned all of these off, and you can use the chamois or pull it off and clean it on your Stampin' Scrub. After I was finished doing all of those, then I came in with, and thanks so much, and happy birthday is also from this set. I love the sayings in here. The font is gorgeous. So you could stamp whatever you want, or if you have another favorite font, you could grab it. And then I just laid this down where I wanted it. And I'm not right over top my project, but you can see this is grid paper that you can purchase separate to use with your Stamparatus. And I'm just eyeballing it there. Oh, you know what? I'm going to switch this plate up here. This plate, when I'm stamping words and I'm going right along this edge, it works better to use the plate that flips up towards the top. So I'm just placing this where I want it. I think that's pretty straight. And then you put your plate down and you lift it up. Now there is a grid line on the plate that you can follow. I cannot see it very well, but it is there. Every once in a while, if I get the light right, I can see it. Now I've put that back into the corner, and then I stamp my greeting. I just closed that down on there. And then there you go. So that is how I use my Stamparatus to make a ton of cards at one time. So I wanted to show you, I'm going to assemble one of my cards really quickly because I want to show you a couple tips. While I've been making all these cards, one of the things that I noticed was I had such a hard time lining things up. I don't know why that is. For whatever reason today, my eyes do not want to work for me. So I stamped a whole bunch of these. I have a bunch left that I haven't done anything with because I'm going to use these on the bigger sized cards. But when I decided on my note cards, I decided to cut these down a little bit. So it's okay if you stamp and then you change your mind. Don't be afraid to adjust as you go. But I'm going to show you. I'm bringing in my trimmer here. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So it's a little bit sideways, but hopefully you can see it. Some of my note cards are not scored well. They are pre-scored, but these, I want to give them a little extra score. So I go to 3.5, and I use my scoring blade, and I'm going to really push down. These are thick note cards. They're thick basic white. And then when I go to crease it, I'm going to push both ends up against my trimmer lip here. And I'm going to make sure they're the same. And I'm also using this lip down here on the end. And then I'm going to use my bone folder and go back and forth to help crease that card. Sometimes I fight with my cardstock. So that's one way that I've learned to kind of get around that. And when I'm making a lot of cards like this, this is easy. So I've been sitting here all day and I crease my card and then I'm turning it. And I'm going to use this to help me line up my piece. And so then I'm just going to get my adhesive out. I'm using liquid glue. And you want to be careful how much you use on your designer series paper because it is thinner. And I'm using this corner here just to lay my paper down and get it straight. And I'm also, so I can see along here that it's straight and I can see along the side, and then I'm pressing it down. And for whatever reason, this is just helping me visually. So I wanted to share that with you. I've been having so much fun today making all these cards. Now, this piece, I did cut it down to 2.5 by 3.5 after I stamped all my pieces. I just decided I liked a smaller size for the note card, but I didn't want to start at that size because I am making our regular 4.25 by 5.5 size cards as well. And all the pieces I stamped are going to work for either card. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals. And I don't know if anyone else is like me. Maybe you are. Sometimes when I have things that are I'm trying to put on with dimensionals, I just have a hard time lining them up. So, like I said, I've been doing this with the note cards. I haven't tried regular size cards, but I may do that when I do my regular size cards. So you notice I have this up. I have my cutting blade moved out of the way. And then I'm going to turn this. I'm still using this corner. And I'm going to peel all of my backings off here. Make sure I have my card facing the right way. And I'm using this dark piece right here to line up where I want my card to go. And I've just found, especially when I'm doing white on white, I have such a hard time sometimes getting a straight edge there. So I felt like I could see this dark piece better. So Even though this is not how our trimmer is meant to be used, I hope you find these tips useful and enjoy making a set of cards. So our trimmer cuts your paper, it can score your paper, and now you can use it to help you fold all your creases and adhere all your pretty pieces. So a lot of this designer series paper is retired, like the dots and the wood grain. This is current, this pattern. So these designer series packs come in color family, and I've used the color family Blushing Bride is in, so that is, I believe it's the subtles. Let me double check. So we have all of our inks and papers and everything is in a color family. So this is our 21 to 22 annual catalog, and the Blushing Bride is in the subtles. So you can buy a paper pack with these patterns, and here's the patterns. This is the neutral pack. So you have a plaid, and then you have this fun circle pattern or this pattern. Those are the patterns that come in the designer series paper family packs. They come in 6x6 sheets, and then you can mix and match. So I've used the neutrals. Mary Merlot is in the neutrals. Basic gray, smoky slate, and then I've used the subtles of the Blushing Bride for my color scheme. And I had a ton of these different packs, bits and pieces of older packs that I hadn't used all of them. So I cut all of those up to use on these cards. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you need any supplies, you can shop at bethroy.stampinup.net, and you just click on Shop Now. And if you need anything, feel free to message me, and I'd be happy to help you with your project. Happy stamping and have a great day. Take care and see you soon.